Hello, hello, super expanders. How are you doing today? We are in for such a treat. You are in for such a treat because I have Lisa Seery sitting here with me. She is just a wealth of wisdom. She is a ray of sunshine and just like a beautiful, beautiful soul. I can't wait to share her and all of her wisdom right here today with you on the Super Expander podcast. Hello, Lisa. Thank you so much for being here, for taking the time to hang out with us and chat.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Corey. I'm excited to be here. And that's such an amazing intro. Thank you so much. I so appreciate those words.
It's so funny. Isn't it like a little bit, it's like so nice, but also a little bit hard to receive that, like when you're sitting here looking at someone talking about you and saying nice things. I feel like that's something I'm really working on these days where you're like, I'm going to receive that and just say thanks.
Yeah, take it all in.
Yes,
thank you.
Yeah. So just a little bit of a context here for everyone listening. Lisa and I met in a mastermind. Geez, I think about a year now ago, maybe even longer. I'm not even sure. Time, I feel like since the pandemic has happened, my concept of time has just literally turned into like, it's all just like one running thing and I have no clue when anything happened.
Totally.
Oh my goodness. So for everyone listening, they know we just go straight deep on the first, just like we waste no time here at the Super Expanders. None at all. So tell me, Lisa, if you could just share exactly, I don't know, at your essence, who is Lisa Seery?
Yes, love this question. And yeah, I feel like this question is I really had so much trouble identifying this myself because I was so tied up in my corporate job previously. It wasn't until I was at the airport once and someone was like, what do you do? And I had left my career and I was like, who am I? What do I do? Who am I outside of my corporate role and my titles and like my VP title and all of that? And so, yeah, it's taken me a while to identify who Lisa is and come back home to myself. And so, I am someone like I love investments. I wake up every day, I read financial news. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to that. And there's also like the health side of me. Like I'm big into health and wellness. So I'm always doing like random biohacking experiments on myself. And I love to travel. So I'm excited to get back to more travel now that, we can go more places. So yeah, I'm just a person that, I really just like to, now that I'm, I can create my own life in the way that I please and support women and creating their ideal lives and like with their finances and help them to thrive there. Yeah, it's just so freeing that, some days I'm like, what does Lisa just want to do today? What would be fun? I'm very driven by fun and what feels good.
I love that. And isn't that just the most amazing thing that you do get to wake up and say, so what do I want to do today? That's like the beauty of this life, this entrepreneurial journey that we are on. And so much of what you said when you're describing yourself is like so resonates deeply in my soul as part of, I'm sure why when we first chatted, I was like, yeah, she's my people.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's crazy that, I know it's very intentional that I've created this life for myself, but just like reflecting back on all the puzzle pieces have come together and you're just like, wow, it just makes so much sense as to why I'm here now and why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, and that's such a freeing feeling to be in a place where you are actually each day getting to live in your purpose and share that purpose with other people and have that be something that impacts them too at the same time and impacts them stepping into their purpose. It's this massive ripple effect that is so I don't know, it's so fun to watch. It's so fun to participate in. It's so fun to witness.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It absolutely is. And yeah, I'm so grateful. I really am just so grateful for it all. And yeah, I wouldn't change a thing.
So something that you said when you were describing yourself kind of has my curiosity. So when you were in that place and space where you were in the coming home, what did that look like for you? How did you I don't, how did you, what was your process of really exploring and identifying as you left the corporate landscape into this new realm? How did, like, what did that look like for you? What kind of things did you do? Maybe is there like a tip that you could share with everyone? Maybe that someone's listening and like, I'm actually in that same place. I just left my corporate job. And when I just heard that question, I'm like, dang, I don't know if I know who I am.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I left my corporate job actually in 2019, and I didn't plan on doing it at the time that I did. I was actually finishing nutrition school at the time, and I was working for a fintech company, very fast growing company. And I was like, if I don't leave my job right now, like it's really like I'm gonna have like a mental breakdown or something. And I didn't know how to slow down once I actually left my job. I was, I'm a manifesting generator in human design. I usually constantly doing things. So slowing down was a huge thing for me because I just felt like I should always be doing. And so last year, a large part of my both personal and professional and business growth was around my own healing around that. Like, how can I deconstruct like a lot of the conditioning and reprogram myself to prioritize myself, my health, um, and to just not feel guilty if I'm not doing something constantly. So that's just a huge tip that I have, is that it's okay to rest. We don't have to constantly be in motion. And I think, just a lot of the conditioning that we have is that we always have to be doing things and in our masculine energy, and that's not healthy. That leads to burnout. So what can we do to feel more aligned, and how can we infuse our passions, follow our intuition, follow our joy?
Yeah, they're speaking my language there on past conditioning and how we can sort of unravel it and create new conditioning, the one that really aligns with the desires and dreams we have for our life. So, as you were doing that, what sort of things supported you in unraveling that conditioning?
Yeah, so I worked with a healer, and that was hugely helpful. I remember the first time she was like, "So let's get into our body." And I was like, "What does that mean? How do I get into I'm in my body. What do you mean?" So it was more that like understanding how to get out of my head into my body. That was massive for me in order to really connect with myself and to understand like how I was feeling. And I think just working in such a masculine industry as finance for a long time, I numbed my emotions and things like that. So and so really cracking myself open was something that was really, really powerful for me. Yeah, so that was a huge part of it, getting to know more about my human design, doing energetic work, so hiring different mentors. So yeah, last year was a big part of the work that I was doing on myself, so I could best support not only myself, also my clients, and serve people better, was my own healing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so funny when you said that the healer said to you, get into your body, and you're like, wait. Because it's funny, I resonate with that like so hugely because I mean, I worked in the health and wellness industry for a very long time. And so hyper aware of my body, but there was a massive disconnection for me. And in that place, when someone says that to you, it's like, but I don't even understand. Like, what are you even talking about? And the funny thing is I feel like the person that's like teaching you that can't even actually teach you. There's like no real words. It's just that they have to expose you to the idea that you're not there. You're not actually in your body, and you have to, on your own journey, figure out how to connect it.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I am just naturally a very logical person. So I was like overthinking it in my head. And it wasn't until I heard someone explain it in a different way. And they were like, just look at your hands and like, what do you start to feel? And it clicked. I was like, ah, okay. I got it now.
Yes. Yeah. And then it starts to be kind of like the layer is like an onion. You have to kind of just continuously peel back, because that even awareness that you came into was just the tip of the iceberg. It goes so much deeper than that. I'm sure that you've been like, that has transpired and evolved for you since the moment that it first just started to connect.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it for sure is exactly like that, like peeling back the layers of an onion, actually going inside of yourself and feeling what's going on. And that was just something that, as much as health and wellness was a part of my life, I'd always been an athlete and I was very much into all of that. Like I didn't realize how I really just tried to use my logical brain to, you know, do everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think that's actually a pandemic that's happening in the world,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It truly is. And so many people are starting to wake up to the real deeper understanding of getting into your body, to connecting to your intuition and allowing it to guide you. Which kind of brings me to, I would like to connect that knowing and knowledge that you have sort of really stepped into what you are doing actually in life, for business, for career, for coaching. Even though you're not in the corporate landscape right now, you're an entrepreneur, you're a coach, you're doing a lot of things. And I want to first like explain to everybody what you do, and how that coming home to yourself, getting into your body, connecting to your intuition, really takes what you do to the next level.
Yeah. So in the work that I do with clients, I am an investing mentor. So I help women become more confident with their finances and to really open up to the idea of investing, because I think there's a lot of conditioning around that as well. And a lot of women just have a fear around it. So I help women in that regard. And also, because I have come home to myself and I've done a lot of the healing work, I understand, because of my background in nutrition as well, how important it is for us to be grounded and to have a calm nervous system when it comes to our money and making decisions. And also, can we tap into our intuition, because that's also really important for women when making decisions. And so we don't typically think about investing that way. We think of it, if you think of Wall Street, most people think of that as like an old boys club. And sure, that's what it was decades ago, but now investing is evolving into digital assets like cryptocurrency and other things. And so a lot of like women are just, we can really create our own table when it comes to investing, and we can all pull up a chair at it. It doesn't have to, you don't have to do things the same way that men have typically done it. You can manage our finances and our financial wellness in a way that feels really good, where we're using both our logical mind and our intuition. And it's just really, really fascinating.
Yes. So good. I feel like we could just start to jam out on intuitive investing like big time right now.
Yes.
Uh, so it's funny, because I was just explaining to someone just the other day is that intuition isn't magic. It's actually your logical brain has a hand in it, right? Because your intuition really, it observes patterns. And so it becomes very strong when we flex it like a muscle. And so when you allow these patterns and this deep knowing that you basically pick up from patterns is like, it's so powerful when you bring that into the landscape of money and investing. And women just tend to be extraordinarily, like, highly adept at almost like being like pattern detectives, essentially.
Ooh, that is super juicy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, it's like when you go and you originally like meet someone, right? And so you get this feeling, which is your inner knowing, but it's because your brain is so powerful and it moves at such a rapid speed. You took in a multitude of details and very quickly like connected to your inner knowing, which gives you a direction on whether it's like this is a good person for you to continue to blossom a relationship with. And the same thing happens as we flex this intuition muscle when inside of like wealth, money, and investing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so like, we could totally like just jam out on this because
Yeah.
with your background too, you understand that at such like another level, which is super fascinating. But yeah, I don't think it's talked about enough. I think women and money and investing and how like we can really just make wealth so magical for ourselves. And like my own story is that I was always someone that I wouldn't say was good at math. Like I got a D in algebra in high school and statistics in college. I had to go for extra help. So I wasn't like when I first started my career in finance, if I had let the idea that I was bad at math, like if I didn't overcome that narrative that I had, I would have never like opened myself up to receiving and being open to the career path that I had, which I absolutely fell in love with. I worked in equity trading and then financial technology. And that just totally melded my passions, financial technology, and just the whole investing landscape and the technology of it, which is super fascinating. And I loved that part of things. And so women who are just counting themselves out with investing because they think that they're bad at math or, it's something that's for men and not for them. And I'm like, you get to do it in any way you want. Like investing can be as simple or as complex as you want it to be, and it can be fun too. So can you get behind the idea that investing is for you and that it gets to be fun?
Mm, yes. I mean, investing is for sure fun. How could you not think about taking money and having it work for you and not think that that's fun?
Yeah, I think, well, sometimes it can just feel overwhelming. Like, what is the work involved in it, for that to happen, right? It's just more like our minds can start spinning around like what's required of me. And it can just feel scary and intimidating.
Yeah.
But yeah, it gets to be a lot of fun, and it is.
Oh, and I love that you're basically taking something that can be really daunting and intimidating for any human being, much less if a female is really trying to claim and own her own financial security. And which I think is super important, because it's something I say all of the time, is that I don't think that we really start to have a full understanding of ourselves, especially as women, until we get to a place where you don't have to ask your bank account for permission, because then you get to truly live from your core values. You get to live from a place of desire. You get to live from a place of feeling 100% safe and secure, like you're the one in charge of how things are going to go for you.
I just love every word of what you just said. That is so beautiful and so spot on, that not having to ask your bank account for permission.
Yep.
Yeah. And not having to rely on someone else as well. Right. And I think sometimes we have to hit like a rough patch in order to say, oh, wow, now my eyes are open. And so how can we, independent women who don't have partners, who aren't married, like how can we just like take responsibility and ownership for our own financial security and not have that, as an option? And I think, entrepreneurs obviously are very attuned to that in general. So that's good.
Well, right. I mean, and remember the good old days when it was like, you were supposed to choose your partner based on their their earning potential and how it was maybe that you could marry into a situation that was going to make your life better, but versus being in a position where it actually is a true partnership where you're both approaching it that way. I feel like it's women owning their financial freedom is I mean, I actually think that that's a huge piece of shifting just the dynamics of the world in so many ways, because I think that it benefits partnerships, marriages in a way that a lot of people don't quite even understand yet.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right with that. Mhm.
So along the way on this journey of, navigating your corporate career and having to really overcome and tell yourself that you had to break away from an old story of thinking that you weren't good at math to step into that career. So I'd love to know who on your journey to where you are today has been a super expander for you. You can share a super expander story. You can share a couple, whatever is coming up for you. I just would love to hear who's really impacted your life.
Yeah. I love this question. So I have a couple of super expanders, and it's interesting because we've talked a lot about conditioning and how just women generally tend to be more risk averse because of how we're raised to play it safe when we're little girls, and boys are encouraged to like swing from the highest monkey bar and have fun and take risks. And so naturally, they're more inclined to take more risks. I'm fortunate because I had, my parents and my dad who, I grew up in a middle class family. My mom was a teacher. My dad was a special ed director, but they managed their money very well. And so I witnessed that firsthand. My dad, from a young age, when I was younger, he always made it an important or a topic of conversation to make your money work for you. And so he usually talked about it like investing through the lens of real estate, because they owned some properties. And so I never really got invested in real estate, but I always knew that making my money work for me was something that was important. So I feel like I didn't have, and also with my career, I didn't really have that risk aversion fear like a lot of women do. And I think it's just because from a younger age, I just told myself that it wasn't scary. And then once I got into my equity trading career, I ended up having an incredible boss who he was just fascinating. I felt like he was a life coach and a boss at the same time. And I've never had a boss just that was quite like him. And so he had a side hustle in, he had his amazing job in the finance industry, and he also had this side hustle. And so he really just encouraged me to be a person that I felt could do anything. And so I was always passionate about investments. I was always talking about it with this investing with one of the other guys on my team at work. And so my boss used to say, like, I can really envision you guys like opening your own company. And so it was just like little comments like that and things that I hadn't really thought much about. And I had little experience with like running my own company, but he was just very encouraging in the fact that it's okay to not take a traditional path. And so that's really always stayed with me. And yeah, he was very, very impactful for me, and definitely a super expander for me, for sure.
I love that. So one of the things I think about what makes a really great boss is one that actually has an element of either just natural born coach inside of them, or because it's not really like great bosses are not just, I don't know, like telling you what to do and micromanaging you. They literally actually ask you questions. They coach you to bring the best out of you. And they never are like scared that you're going to leave because they have helped you improve to a place that is going to cause you to leave the company. And it sounds like your boss was one of those magical human beings who just literally had a knack for cultivating the best in you.
Yes, and actually exactly what you just said just made it click because he was a coach. He on the side he coached an athletic team, so that makes a lot of sense as to why he was so good at that.
Yeah, these like coachable moments inside of like when you're working with an employee, when you're managing employees, that I think are so key. And when you can see that, like as a leader, how it makes your own job actually easier.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So I love to ask this question. A lot of us get really hung up on goals and what we're working to achieve. And I have found through just, I don't know, how I operate working with my own clients that the goals are great, but it's really hard to stay committed to our goals if we don't have a really strong North Star, like a feeling that we're consistently striving to step into. So I'd love to know what yours is.
Yeah, what my North Star is, I think just the impact that I want to make in the world. And, we're going through this phase right now. It's called the wealth transfer, where not only generational wealth is changing hands to the next generation, but also we have more entrepreneurs. And so my whole purpose is that women can have money to live a life that they truly love and that they're passionate about, and to make a great impact. And so that really drives me. And my work doesn't feel like work to me. I love the financial markets, and I just feel like I get to share my passion with people and to support people on their journey. And it's absolutely beautiful, and it's so much fun.
Mm. So when you are making impact, how what's the proof for you, like that that you're on the right track? What do you see? What do you feel? What do you hear?
Yeah. So like for me, I had someone like the other day, she was someone that was in a former program of mine, and she reached out, she sent me a voice note, and she's like, so Lisa, I'm talking at this conference about business finances and investing, and I'm so excited for this presentation. And I'm like, this is great. So she has her own business, and so she's doing one thing, and this is completely separate, that she also wants to start educating women about finances. And so I just thought that that was so wonderful. And yeah, just when I hear stories of like my former clients, like whether they upgrade their lives in some way, or feel they no longer feel guilty about spending money on themselves, or they're able to provide something to their children that they didn't have before, or they now have the tools necessary and the belief in themselves that they can start a nonprofit, or take things further than they ever thought possible. That's impact, that I've really helped someone enrich their life in such a deep and meaningful way that they truly are like living their lives just in a more aligned way, and financial stress just isn't a part of their life anymore.
That's so good. That's the ripple effect at its finest right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, okay, so the time has come to share your own, it's like your own super expander moment. So if you could give your younger self advice, or if you just had a golden nugget of advice that you'd like to share, sort of parting words, what would they be?
Oh gosh, this is such a good question. My younger self, what would it be? Um, just to never question like your inner knowing, or like you're always gonna, like if you have a pull towards something, that's for a reason, and to follow your curiosity. And I've always been a very curious person. And so when you're able to guide yourself and just truly go with what feels exciting and where you're pulled, like the rest will fall into place. I feel like we spend so much time and in our heads trying to figure things out and thinking too far ahead and going into all these different scenarios, where if you just know that you'll always be supported and that you can figure it out, like you're unstoppable. Just go with where you're pulled, and that's it.
So good. And such good advice. Such good advice. That's like your intuition, right? Giving
Yeah,
you a little nudge in the right direction.
yeah, exactly.
So I know everyone listening is ready to step into the wealthiest version of themselves. So how can they find you? How can they get into your world? What's the best way?
Yeah, so I mostly hang out on Instagram, and my handle there is at least Seery Finance. Yeah, and so that's the best way to connect with me. And I'm currently really fascinated with women getting into digital assets like cryptocurrency and NFTs, if you know what those are, non-fungible tokens, and just what the future holds for those. Um, and so yes, I do have a program that's upcoming too for NFTs. It's called Women Rocking NFTs, which I absolutely love. And I'm excited to see women getting into that space, because for the longest time, it was just all men. And now women are realizing like how creative and fun of a space that can be, and how we really have this creative outlet for investing, which is just so great.
So just a little testimonial. She did not pay me. I am currently going through Women Rocking NFTs. It is sensational. I'm learning so much. I am going to be a crypto millionaire. Just one avenue of my investing, one avenue of my earnings. So that particular piece is going to definitely earn me at least $1 million. You guys need to check it out. Go check out her Instagram. It is in the show notes, and keep an eye out for the next time that she is launching and opening doors to Women Rocking NFT, because you guys, it's juicy.
Thank you so much. And I'm super excited for this crypto millionaire status. That is also what I keep just stepping into. I was crypto millionaire Lisa. So I really like that income stream for you, Corey. That's awesome.
Yes. Well, we'll have to craft some mantras for ourselves to continuously upgrade our conditioning to step into that the millionaire crypto version of ourselves.
Yes. Yeah, I have a journal for it. On the front of it, it says crypto millionaire loading, which I absolutely love, because it really gets me into that energy of like, I'm excited to be a crypto millionaire, and I am a crypto millionaire. Yeah.
Yeah. It's already on its way to you. on its way to
Exactly.
us.
Yes, on its way to us. Yes, you
Oh my
get to be
gosh.
a crypto millionaire, and you get to be a crypto millionaire. We can do some Oprah stuff here.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yes, absolutely. And underneath of the front seat of your car. Right? Isn't that? I mean, typically
Oh
everyone's
yeah,
listening in their car and she puts the gifts underneath the seats,
yeah.
right?
Oh, that's too funny.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time out today to chat and have this conversation. I very much appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much as well. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. And it was great to connect with your community.
Absolutely. I will catch you on the next episode.